The problem that I actually want to solve here is based off of a problem that I worked earlier, so I want to show the final result of that earlier problem so I can move forward from that one. But in the previous problem, Amy had a 10-year mortgage for $92,000 at an annual rate of 5%, and in that video we completed this amortization schedule for the first 3 months for her $92,000 loan. So I want to pick up from there because the problem I really want to work takes off from that point. And what it says is, what if Amy decided to pay an extra $150 a month to pay off her loan? It was a 10-year, $92,000 mortgage at 5%, remember. And we also calculated in that earlier problem a monthly payment of $976.12. If you look back at that previous problem, the monthly payment that we had calculated was $976.12. So anyway, back to the problem we want to actually work. That's the setup. We want Amy to pay a little more every month to pay this thing off a little faster. So if her old monthly payment was $976.12 and she's going to pay an extra $150 a month, then the thing to remember is the only difference between this problem and the original problem is that her monthly payment is going to go up by $150. So if you add $150 to $976.12, you get $1,126.12. So that becomes her monthly payment. Otherwise, the calculations are going to be exactly as in the previous problem. Okay, and we also know the interest rate per month that we had already calculated earlier, and since the interest rate does not change, this number is still valid. So let's go forward. We know that the amount of interest paid, we did this quite extensively in the other video. The interest paid is simply the amount of the previous month's balance, which in this case is $92,000, times the interest rate per period. So the balance in the previous month becomes the principal for the next month. So the previous month's balance times the interest rate per period will give you the amount of interest paid for a month. So for month 1, it'd be 92,000 times 0.0041666667, and that comes out to 383.3 repeating. We want to round that to the nearest cent, so that'd be 383.33, $383.33. Okay. Continuing, the amount paid on principal is just the interest paid taken away from the monthly payment. So if you take $1126.12 and subtract $383.33, you end up with $742.79, and that goes to the amount paid on principal. If you go back and look at the previous problem, notice that the steps are exactly the same. The monthly payment went up, and that's affecting some of these numbers, but otherwise the process is exactly the same. So finally, after the end of month 1, the balance is based on the prior month's balance adjusted by how much the person paid on principal. So Amy paid from that $92,000 she owed in the beginning, she paid off $742.79 of that. So if you subtract those two numbers, you end up with a new balance of $91,257.21. So now Amy doesn't owe quite as much after month 1. Move to month 2, repeat the exact same process. The amount of interest paid is simply the previous month's balance, which is now $91,257.21, multiplied by the interest rate per period, which we calculated some time ago. Multiplying those two numbers together, you get 380.2383142. Rounding it to the nearest cent, you get $380.24. The amount paid on principal, we know now, is simply the difference between the monthly payment and the interest paid. Subtracting, that gives us $745.88, and that goes in the position for the amount paid on principal. And finally, the balance after end of month 2 is simply the previous month's balance minus the amount paid on principal. So that's $91,257.21. $257.21 minus $745.88. Do that subtraction, you get $90,511.33. That goes as the balance at the end of month 2. Moving to month 3, you repeat exactly the same process, but again, as I did in the previous problem, I'd like for you to do month 3 yourself. If you followed through what we did, you should be able to knock out those last 3 values very easily. So pause the video now, finish the 3 values missing in month 3, and then start it back, and I'll put in the results and you can check your work. So the interest paid is $377.13. The amount paid on principal is $748.99. And at the end of 3 months, Amy owes $89,762.34. If you went back and looked at the previous problem, you'd notice that the balance is going down faster because she's paying more. If you missed any of those, go back and recheck your work, and if necessary, rewatch this video and determine what you were doing wrong.